Jude, there's no chapter. Jude, I think we will at least do 8 through, I think we can get 8 through 16 because it's talking about one thing. So I think we'll make it. So Jude 8 through 16. We did 5 through 7 last week. Jude gave 3 examples of what happens to false teachers. He did that to reassure us as churches in his day, they were small, they're scattered, persecutions on the way. And he wants Christians to stick to the truth, to remember what the gospel is and isn't, to contend for the real true faith, which has meaning and shape. You can't just make Christianity to be whatever you want. It is something. And he wants us to stay the course. He assured us in verses 5 through 7 that false teachers always get theirs in the end. And he gave 3 examples from the Old Testament about that. And so now he's going to talk more about false teachers and what they're like, what their motives are, and the future that's in store for them. And he uses a lot of really great analogies to like stick in your mind. He's a really good writer. So this is what he says. I'll read verses 8 through 13. He talked about Sodom and Gomorrah. He talked about the angels who left their place in heaven, fallen angels, these few particular fallen angels who left their place in heaven, came and indulged in sexual perversion and everything else that Genesis talks about in Genesis 6. And he says in verse 8, yet in the same way, these people also, the false teachers that are running around in Jude's day, dreaming, defile the flesh, reject authority, and speak abusively of angelic majesties. I guess I'll just stop there. What does he mean? What's he saying? What are these false teachers like? What do they do?
What do they do?
Yeah.
They throw 1 or 2 lies and pervert the whole truth a lot of times.
Well, what's it mean that they defile the flesh? Or your translation might have something a little bit, maybe a little less stiff, but still, what's it mean? What kind of life do they lead?
Defile the flesh would be abusing the temple of God, right? They would be living the life.
Like, what's that mean?
Like partying or whatever.
Okay, yeah, like English, yeah, like partying, yeah. Okay. So we saw before about earlier in Jude, 2 big things that false teachers do is they don't live holy lives and they believe in a fake Jesus. They don't believe in the Jesus that the Bible teaches. And here, Jude continues the same way. They defile the flesh, meaning they're just into debauchery. They party, they destroy themselves by the things they do. They just live in really unholy ways. And defiling the flesh, meaning your body, it can mean a million different things, but you live a really bad life. Reject authority. What's that mean? Whose authority?
God.
Okay, God. But what else? Like here, what authority here do you think Jude is talking about? They're false teachers. They believe fake things about Jesus. They live on the holy lives. Whose authority do you think they would reject, or people who they would tell, well, you don't know what you're talking about. You're wrong.
The apostles, like Paul people.
Okay, like the church, like they're teachers in the church. Like they go to a church and they think crazy things like, Jesus doesn't really care much about all this technical details about what Christianity is and isn't. He just wants you to love him. And a pastor would say, well, that's not true. There's real Jesus and there's a fake Jesus. We need to make sure you believe in the Jesus of the scriptures. That's ridiculous. Stop being a Pharisee. That rejecting authority, rejecting the fact that God has given you teachers in the faith to watch over your souls and help shepherd you along the path, but you reject everyone who doesn't agree with you. You're just this you just cause trouble everywhere. Everyone else is always the problem. It's like in my
dissension. They sow dissension back. You know what I mean?
Like have you been at work with someone where they're always everyone else is the problem and it's never them? Even though they are the problem, like they have a nasty attitude, they don't listen, they don't accept any authority, it's always someone else. Like in my job, but we get all these people suing state agencies. They're saying, I've been discriminated against. Sometimes it's true, but a lot of times it's just an excuse because you're a terrible employee and the facts prove it. You're not being discriminated against. Not all the time. Sometimes people are, but it's like they reject any attempt to be under under the authority of the Lord's church and other Christians in the church who all are saying, you're really going off the deep end here. This is who Jesus is, or this is how Christians are supposed to live. And they reject everything. They want to be in charge of everything. There's no authority. They don't put themselves under authority at all. They speak. So this next part, at the end of verse 8, they speak abusively of angelic majesties or majesties. He's going to explain what that is. It says, but Michael in verse 9, the archangel. So he's going to give a comparison to make us understand what he's saying about what's it mean that these false teachers speak abusively of angelic majesties. But Michael the archangel, when he disputed with the devil and argued about the body of Moses, did not dare pronounce against him an abusive judgment, but said, the Lord rebuke you. But these people disparage all the things they do not understand and all the things that they know by instinct, like unreasoning animals. By these things they are destroyed. What is he? So verses 9 and 10, what is he saying? What's the point about the analogy with Michael the archangel versus how these false teachers act? What is he saying? What's his point?
The point is that not even Michael, the archangel, came against, when battling over the body of Moses, Satan didn't come against him with a railing accusation or judgment at all, but not in my name, but in the name of God. No.
Okay.
The Lord rebuke you.
What's it have to do with the false teachers?
The false teachers they're judging others. And blaming others for things, and that would be judging them, and we're not to judge others, and that's instilling.
They were also arrogant, wanted all the credit.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like Satan.
Like Michael, he's well, we don't know what his boundaries are, but
yeah,
he's not okay, so he did not, he didn't like give judgment because that's not within his power, that's for God. And false teachers, they act outside of their boundaries.
Okay, were you going to say something, Phil?
Same vein that when speaking specifically about Michael, God is the judge. He's not a judge.
Yeah. So
yeah. When they say archangel, does that mean that's like that person who's been reborn in God?
No, like an archangel is like an angel of a higher class. Like Gabriel and Michael are the two archangels that the Bible specifically mentions. So it's like an angel first class. So like this, like an angel with a higher authority position. Yeah, higher ranking, that's the word I was looking.
Higher than that.
Satan was the number one.
So the seraphim and the archangels are in the throne room of God. They walk in the midst of the fiery stones, like Lucifer. I don't know if he was an archangel, but maybe he was, but he walked in the actual throne room, just like Michael. His name means the likeness of God, and Gabriel was the archangel of messengery. And those are the only two that are really talked about, before Lucifer's fall. But yeah, they higher class.
So there's like three that are just archangels, like the whole, like the.
Well, so the Bible only talks about two. And then,
Gabriel.
the Bible doesn't talk that much about angels. A lot of people are very interested in them, but the Bible doesn't talk much about them, which means God doesn't really want us to spend a lot of time pondering them. But we do know that Gabriel and Michael are identified as these higher ranking angels, higher than the others. That's what we know. And Satan was the highest, the highest of the highest, and he led a rebellion against the Lord and was cast out of heaven. So that's sort of what happened. Yeah, so that's sort of what happened right before Adam and Eve were tempted in the garden paradise. So yeah, his point here. So this is Jude's point. These false teachers, they're so arrogant, they're so full of themselves, and so he says in verse 9, he tells this like story that would float around in popular Jewish like culture. And he says, Michael the archangel, even when he was dealing with Satan, he had a fearful respect for Satan. Like Satan's evil, but he didn't have this cheap attitude about Satan. There was a fearful respect for a very powerful, frightening enemy. So that's what he means when he says, he did not dare pronounce against him an abusive judgment, but said, "The Lord rebuke you." So when Michael deals with Satan, he's respectful even when he's opposing him, because he views him as very dangerous. And he says, but contrast these false teachers, they don't show any kind of respect for the God they're blaspheming, for the Lord they're denying. That's how arrogant and far gone these false teachers are. They have no fearful respect for the Lord they're lying about, for the Jesus they're misrepresenting, for the God whom they're stealing people away from and confusing with their lies. So he's saying that's how nasty these folks are. That's the comparison he's making. He says they're like unreasoning animals, meaning they're just like a cat in heat. Have you ever had a cat in heat who wasn't fixed, and she just howls and shrieks and goes totally crazy, right? Like this like animal instinct sort of thing where they just become these. It's like they're overtaken by some evil power or something. And if you've ever had a cat who wasn't fixed, who went into heat, you know what I'm talking about. All this weird yowling and howling and all sorts of craziness. So like that's the sort of like that's how messed up these false teachers are.
I think any addiction, can be the same way for humans.
Yeah. That's so he's using a lot of word pictures to paint in your mind like the depth of the arrogance and the spiritual deception these people are operating under. And I think that some false teachers today are still exactly like this. They lead people astray so much and with so much energy and arrogance that they're just like these people. Some people are just genuinely confused, but false teachers still fit this bill with the arrogance they show and how deeply they oppose what the truth of the gospel and Jesus is.
Well, it applies to every age throughout past, present, and future through all time equally through all ages. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's not just talking about, five guys wandering around in, Turkey and, in the late 60s AD. I mean, it's applicable. I mean, the things so much stays the same, so much stays the same, even if the technology doesn't. Any other thoughts before we go on? Okay, so he says, verse 11, woe to them. Basically, that's a really stiff way of translating. They're going to get theirs. Like bad things are going to happen to these people. For they have gone the way of Cain. What does that mean? It's Old Testament trivia time. What does that mean? Oh, yes, Peter?
Cain is the guy who killed Abel.
Okay, so that's bad. Okay.
Saying they've gone
On the way of Cain.
like they've gone a very bad way. Cain didn't go very good way.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna do what thou wilt. I'm gonna do what
Yeah.
I want.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna. I do what I want. Pretty much that's what's going on.
And this is another Old Testament trivia thing. When Cain was angry beforehand, because he brought an offering of fruit, I believe, and God didn't accept it. And his brother brought an offering, and God did accept that. Some people think that the reason God didn't accept Cain's offering is because he brought the wrong offering. I think, what does God say to Cain is wrong with him in Genesis? His heart was wrong. It's not so much that he didn't bring the right stuff on the plate. It's that his heart was not there. So when he brought stuff, he's just like, here's your stuff. It's like going to church and you sit down and you're like, I'm here. What more do you want? I'm here. Let's do this thing. I have lunch. No, I get the football game starts. I mean, come on. Hmm. Yeah. It's the, yes. And it's respect, it's your heart, it's all external. So the way of Cain, murder, obviously, but the heart that produces this. And the next one, they pay for pay, they have given themselves up to the heir of Balaam. It's another Old Testament trivia. And if I mention this and you're like, what on earth is that? That means you should, there's Bible reading plan things up there at the table thing at the by the restrooms with a Bible reading plan. You need to read more Old Testament. And you can do it in bite-sized chunks if you grab the Bible reading plan up there. What is the error of Balaam? What's that mean?
Balaam was
Uh-oh.
like Balaam's donkey or something?
Yes, that's true. He did have a donkey.
I don't remember what happened with it.
Donkey didn't like him very much.
He went to go speak curses against Israel, employed by whatever his name was, Herod or whatever. No, maybe.
No, not
maybe
him.
Not Herod, but anyways, yeah, he went to go speak curses against the land of Israel, Judea, and rather than being able to speak the curses, he could only say blessings.
So so in the story, he didn't curse the Israelites at first, but what happened in the end for those who, yeah, Tim?
He told the king that if he sent his gals out, he could seduce the Israelis,
Yeah,
cause immoral activity, because he wanted that money from the king really bad.
yeah,
And he wanted that money really bad when God told him he didn't want him to go when he was going to kill the donkey, when the donkey was protecting him from being killed.
yeah. So the Arab, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah. Balaam's error was money. For money, he told the pagan kings exactly what to do to trip the Israelites up, and it worked. So the error of Balaam is money. So your heart is wrong, the way of Cain, simplifying. The error of Balaam, you love money more than you love the Lord, and perished. They've gone the way of Cain. For pay, they've given themselves up to the error of Balaam and perished in the rebellion of Korah. We talked about Korah last time. So what does it mean what is God saying? What's Jude saying it's going to happen to these people in the end? On. They're going to be destroyed. Balaam? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he was.
So he didn't do it.
He
Tried.
he didn't do at first he didn't do it, but eventually, because they offered him enough money, he told the pagan king what to do to get the Israelites off track from loving God. And so they took his advice and it worked.
There's a whole story that goes
Yes.
about that.
I'll look it up and give you the descriptions, but it's, I don't have to look that here, but it, basically comes down to the fact that he had a donkey that blocked his way, which is doing it.
Number one thing.
A talking donkey at that. The donkey spoke to him. It spoke to him in Hebrew.
No,
Yeah.
I love donkeys.
It gets cray-cray.
Yeah, Judy will send you the passage that you can read. So yeah. Let's see. It says, we're only going to get to verse 13 because we're running low on time, but that's okay. So verse 12, this is where the word picture comes in. So picture as I read this, let the word picture sort of percolate in your mind because he's really trying to describe in graphic detail what these people are like. These are the ones who are hidden reefs in your love feasts when they feast with you without fear. What are these love feasts? And no, it's not an orgy. What's he talking about?
Well, it could be church potluck. It could be
Oh,
communion.
God. We hope not.
Yeah, he's probably talking about in the early church when they did communion, they had meals together. So it's an insider phrasing. He's talking about when Christians get together, Christians who love one another get together, they celebrate the Lord's Supper and eat and share meals together. It's basically the church Lord's Supper / potluck event. They are hidden reefs at these events. What does that mean? What does a hidden reef do to a ship?
Thanks.
Well, if it hits it, it puts a big hole in it.
Yeah, it rips the bottom out from under them and the ship sinks. So these people are like hidden reefs who will destroy churches. That's what he's saying. So yeah, that's a Jesus's example. They're weeds among the wheat. But these people in this example, a reef isn't just a bad thing that hangs out. A reef rips the bottom out of the ship. So these people they will destroy Christian churches if you let people who teach and believe fake things and are trying to get other people to believe fake things with them. If you let them stay in your fellowship, they will destroy your fellowship. That's one of the things Jesus says when he talks to the churches in Revelation. One of the criticisms he has of one of the churches, I forget which one, is that they are allowing evil beliefs to just exist in their church without trying to correct it. And if they can't correct it without saying, we love you, but you got to go. You can't stay here in our church because you're believing false and awful and evil things. So this imagery, they're hidden reefs when they feast with you without fear. So they're having the casserole from the potluck and eating fried chicken. They're all sitting around the table together, smiling and everything. They're all happy, but they're hidden reefs ready to rip the bottom out from the church. They are like shepherds caring only for themselves. And a shepherd who cares only for himself really sucks as a shepherd. Clouds without water. What's that mean? The picture, what's it saying? Yeah, it's like it does nothing. It's just window dressing. It's a cloud. This is an agricultural world, and we don't live in an agricultural world, at least a lot of us don't. So it's a cloud, but you're like, it has no water, so it's useless to me. It's like
Tossed about on the sea, or like a ship without a mast, or tossed about on the sea.
yeah, like all these pictures, like you're a farmer and there's a drought and you're like, clouds. Oh, not the right kind of clouds. I mean, just like
They're useless, basically.
yeah. And like he goes on and he says the same thing with all these different things, carried along by the winds, meaning what? What's that mean if someone's just carried along by the wind?
The mercy of the
We don't
wind.
have any conviction.
James calls it double-mindedness.
Yeah, like you're not anchored to anything, you just blow wherever, you're
Not a sure foundation on anything.
yeah, you're not rooted in the truth, in the gospel, in the scriptures, through the Holy Spirit. So you're just blowing everywhere. Autumn trees without fruit. What are the trees going to look like in a month? Bare, nothing. These little,
Nothing.
no, nothing. You're dead. That's what he's saying. They're dead. The autumn trees without fruit, doubly dead, uprooted. So they're not only dead trees, in November, they've also been ripped out of the ground. They're just laying there, sort of on their sides, He's trying everything he can to get across badness, wild waves of the sea, churning up their own shameful deeds like dirty foam. What is that? What's that about? What picture is that?
Like the bay with all the bubbles.
Yes, like on the seashore or like this oily little inlet thing full of like gasoline floating on the surface and all this foaming nonsense.
It's a vile thing.
It's just this nasty, or like the puddles in the Walmart parking lot, with all the gasoline floating on top, or something like this. I mean,
Would that be like the person like basically taking pride in their sin?
yeah, it's like they're churning up their own shameful deeds. They're just churning up a bunch of garbage. I mean, he's just trying to get this across. They're wandering stars for whom the gloom of darkness has been reserved forever. Very dark, very dark. And on that happy note, we will pause for today, but it's not meant to be unhappy. It's meant to, like I said last week, it's hard for us because we're very comfortable in our Christianity here in America, because we're very blessed to be in a place where we can worship freely and no one cares. You could start a congregation where you worship a flying spaghetti monster and no one would care and they would think it's very sweet. No one cares what you do in America. But here in this context, it's very hard. It's hard to get converts. It's hard to keep converts. And then you have these people coming in, stealing people away and tricking them. And so your work that's already hard is even harder. It's very depressing. And then you read what Jude says, they will get theirs. This is what they're like. But this is what their future is. Stay the course, keep going, which he'll get to in a minute. And you read that, and then you're like, you're right. Okay, I can keep going and serving the Lord because I know that our God, the true God, is much more powerful than these people. We know what happened to Cain. We know what happened to Balaam. We know what happened to Korah. So I know what will happen to these people who do this stuff. So that is what Jude is talking about. And he will, in verses 17 to the end, he will switch and talk about encouraging stuff for everyone. Like, so keep on, keep it on, and all that fun stuff. But right now, he is about finished with all of his comments about the false teachers. And there we are.